So hello everyone and welcome to today's Focus On webinar. My name is Victoria and I'm part of the engagement team at Amelia Virtual Care. Before I get going, I would just like to say thank you to you all for joining. It is nice to see some familiar names and great to see some new names as well. So if any of you have any questions during today's session, then please feel free to pop them in the chat and I will address them at the end. So let's get started with today's subject, group therapy with VR. So in today's webinar, we'll look at first group therapy with VR. In this section, we will go into the more technical part of the concept, to learning what it consists of, its benefits, and how to apply this type of therapy using VR with the Amelia platform. Then we'll look at how to organize the session. So what VR devices we can use, what we need, and how a group session using VR would be developed. Then we'll see how to offer the group session. So here we'll give you some suggestions or tips to promote this type of therapy in your practice. Then we'll see some examples. We'll show you a demo of a remote session with VR. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A. So I'll leave a space for you to ask any kind of questions that you have. So any questions will be addressed in this part of the webinar. Now let's get started. And so first, what is it based on? So group therapy focuses on the interactions that take place in the group. Like individual psychotherapy, this method of work is aimed at helping people to resolve their conflicts, rediscover emotional balance, stimulate their personal growth, enhance their social skills, and provide them with the coping tools that they need. Group therapy is effective because people feel that they are not alone in their problems, breaking the isolation to which many have been subjected. Then it also helps with the ability to share their emotions and thoughts without fear of criticism, which fosters a high level of group cohesion that leads to a more stable psychological changes over time. Then remember, the group is guided by you, the psychotherapist, who takes on the role of moderator to ensure that different issues are addressed and that people do not stray too far from the objective. And then the therapist also proposes group dynamics and experiential exercises to facilitate self-awareness, introspections, and self-knowledge. So some of the advantages and benefits of group therapy are that the groups provide support. So hearing from others with similar problems helps patients to see that they are not alone in these difficulties, whether they are dealing with panic attacks, depression, or any other mental health problem. Many people experience a sense of relief. Groups provide a sounding board. So hearing from other people about the way they present their problems can be very helpful, powerful as well. You get a broader range of perspective on each situation, and that helps to better deal with the points to work on. Groups can drive progress. Hearing how other members have successfully overcome their fear of flying, for example, can be very encouraging. It also fosters social skills. Not only do they help alleviate feelings of isolation, but they also provide an opportunity to practice reconnecting with people. Group therapy also costs less than individual counseling. Some people believe that because group therapy, it costs less, it's not as good as individual therapy, but it's been shown to be effective. And lastly, group teach about yourself. Each let's say, a quote so that you can understand. So each person in the group holds up a mirror and you see yourself through their eyes. So this is a way to uncover blind spots that may be blocking the patient's ability to overcome their difficulties. Now, jumping into homework, I'll explain a little bit about what it is. So homework is a new functionality that has been part of our platform for some months now. This functionality has different modes, as well as purposes of use, which allow us to extend the benefits of VR, not only in consulting. I would like to take this opportunity to tell you that we conducted a specific webinar on this homework feature, of which we have a recording. So if you will, if you want to watch the recording, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll send this to you. With homework, not only your patients will be able to do relaxation and mindfulness sessions at home to generalize and work on coping strategies, but also to work on these aspects within a group session. As you already know, homework allows your patients to have access to these environments at home, just as you can add homework to your device, to your VR device that you usually use in the office if you have connection or prefer to speed up the session. These are not the only functionalities we can benefit from homework, but we can also use it to have a group session using with relaxation or mindfulness environments. So what does it consist of? So each patient in the session will have homework enabled on the VR device, either a VR device purchased by you or their smartphone with the Amelia app. And a unique report will be generated for each patient within the session. This way, you will be able to keep track of each patient's process within the group sessions. We will go into more detail about this process throughout the webinar, so don't worry. Now, there are two ways of applying VR. With your patient's devices, okay? So I'll explain both in this section. The first one is through the Amelia's own platform. So from the platform, it's possible to pair more than one device at the same time. As you can see in this image, by selecting the pair device option, we enter the code and the device we want to pair, and then the pair option is still visible on the platform. If we repeat the same process, meaning we click pair device again, we can add more devices and pair all of them on the same platform. The first device that we pair will be the reference device. So, and also we recommend not pairing more than 5 or 6 devices at the same time to avoid any technical problems in use. Currently, our platform is not fully prepared to perform this function, as we can only launch the same environment on all paired devices. In addition, in our platform visor, we will only be able to know what happens in the first device that we pair. So we will only get a single report of this first device. This option is less technically secure because it requires very fast and stable internet connection in all of the devices that are being used. On the other hand, this option will allow us to apply any environment that's on the platform on all devices and control them all at the same time. For example, if we launch the Imaginary for Relaxation environment, when selecting a different area of the environment or changing the events, this change will be made at the same time to all the paired devices. And remember, as always, Amelia is a platform that is constantly evolving and changing, and our idea is always to improve and facilitate the use of this functionality. Now, the second way of applying homework would be through, VR would be through homework. This is the option that we discussed earlier. By enabling homework on the device of each patient, they will be able to reproduce the same environment from the list independently, or even different environments, without the need to pair the devices to the platform. Each patient will select the environment to be worked on and play it on their own device. Remember that there are two ways to add homework on any device. One is through the per device option by selecting the save device and unlock homework. The device will have access to the functionality and to all of the available environments. Or the other way that you can add homework is you can directly access the devices section and select add a new device to generate the code that will give access to the homework in your patient's app. This option is more secure at a technical level, since the devices do not have to be paired to the platform, but instead they work independently. Another advantage is that, as we mentioned, each patient will generate a unique report that will be recorded on your platform. In this way, you will be able to track the evolution throughout the sessions. In addition, it will not be necessary to play the same environment on all of the devices as if they were played on the platform, since each device launches the selected environment. At the moment, homework has relaxation, mindfulness, and attentional training environments. Although being a new functionality in the platform, our idea is to expand the content so that you can offer more variety to our patients. Remember, any ideas or suggestions that you may have, we're always happy to hear your proposals. We must also keep in mind that we will have less control of what happens on each device, as they will not be paired to each other, unlike the option we showed before. Now, if we move to how to organize the session. So there are different types of devices to use virtual reality. The first one would be the Pico G2 4K headset. These are our most recommended headsets. Many of you use them as a VR device in your face-to-face sessions, especially because it is the device with the best quality and the best sense of presence and immersion. In addition, the Pico G2 4K headsets are shipped by us with the Amelia app already installed. So in the case of doing the group session using homework, it would be as simple as turning on the headset and selecting the homework option within the app. It is the most comfortable and practical option for group sessions, requiring a greater prior investment when acquiring the devices, since the quality they offer is higher. The second option would be universal headsets. This would be the intermediate option. Universal headsets offer a more resistant and better alternative than cardboard headsets, for example, which I'll talk about in a minute. Universal headsets have the structure to use a smartphone and play the content in VR format. This option requires that you have a smartphone, which will play the environment in VR mode, and the headset will do the rest. We should note that not all models will be suitable for all smartphones, as the universal headsets models vary according to the size of the phone screen. In this case, we can acquire different models or different sizes to adapt to any type of a smartphone for our patients. And the last option would be the cardboard headset that I just mentioned. This option would be the most economical of all. The cardboard headsets have a system similar to the universal headsets that I just mentioned, although they differ in that the material of this device is cardboard. So this makes the quality therefore lower. So other devices that you can use One would be a projector or a screen. One option is to play the environment to the group via a projector or viewing screen. By connecting just one device with homework enabled, it can be linked to a projector or a screen for the group to view the environment together. And please note that in this option, the viewing will be in 2D and not in VR mode. The second device would be headphones. In the opposite case, if each patient uses their own device and reproduces environment, we must take into account that it will be necessary to use headphones so that the audio from each device is not overlapped. And lastly, some loudspeakers in case that the environment is played as a whole. So the space where the session will take place is very important. We recommend a large space with good lighting and in which you can work comfortably. You should keep in mind that you should have chairs for your patients. The placement of this is usually in a circular shape so that the attendees can see each other. You can purchase a chair or do the session standing up. Depending on the environment that you choose, remember that to increase the sense of presence in the environment, it is advisable that patients acquire the avatar's position. Keep this in mind depending on the environment that you use during the session. Okay, so just try to make it a simple room without too much decoration so that patients are not distracted, and above all, just make it a comfortable room. Now, for the session preparation, this part of the process is crucial to perform the session. We know that it's important to prepare any type of session, although we must take into account that when we work with several patients, therefore several devices, the preparation of the session is fundamental to achieve the success we're looking for. In order to have all aspects of the session under control, we recommend the following. First, perform a pre-session. This point is very important if the VR device that the patient will use is their own, for example, their smartphone with the Amelia app installed. So first, make sure that your patient has a compatible smartphone device. For example, that it has enough memory and that it can be correctly download the Amelia app. This can be done when the patient decides to register for the group sessions. In our help center on the platform, you will find an article on the minimum requirements for using the Amelia app on a smartphone. Then schedule the session a few minutes earlier to perform these checks. This way, the process is done as a group, but outside the session time itself. Now, remember to also enable homework. If you will perform the group session using homework, it is recommended that patients have access enabled prior to the start of the group session to make the most out of the session time. Remember that you have a patient guide on the platform with all the information about homework. Next, check the optimal functionality of the devices, whether they are cardboard headsets or Pico headsets with homework already enabled. It's important to make sure beforehand that all devices have an internet connection, have enough battery power, and can be used without any problems. Next, have on hand is, if possible, devices in case of emergency. This point is related to what we mentioned above. In the event that any of the devices give problem before or during the session, it is advisable to have a spare device to avoid inconveniences in the process. Some examples would be extra cardboard headsets, a smartphone that is out of use, and so on. And lastly, you can benefit from the help of an assistant. For all the aspects that we just discussed, would be advisable to have an assistant to help you in these recommendations to speed up the process. Now, during the session, here I'll show you some steps to follow during a VR group session. Remember that these are just suggestions that we offer so that you can choose from. First, explain what a session will consist of. This will be the introductory part of the hour. It's important to explain in a simple way what the session will be based on and its objectives. Then have them introduce themselves. If it's the first session, it will be essential that the patients introduce themselves to each other and share points of view. It may be difficult at first to break the ice, but it's important to remember that fostering groups cohesion can benefit the success of the session. If the group already knows each other or there are new members, you can address initial issues before starting with the VR environment itself. Then you reproduce the environment. This step can be done in two ways: through a projector, as I mentioned before, or by reproducing the environment on each of the patient's devices. These two options can be combined or alternated between sessions, even offering the group sessions depending on how the environment will be played. First, you have if the environment is played through a projector or a screen. In this case, we recommend connecting a homework-enabled device to the projector so that all patients can see the environment at the same time. For example, you connect your smartphone to the screen and the environment will be played and viewed by everyone present in the room. And second, if the environment is played on each device, in this case, you would have the two ways we discussed before. Through the Amelia platform, will all of the devices pair at the same time to your platform, or by launching the environment through homework on each device. We will show you some examples at the end of this webinar to give you a more detailed view. Then remember to comment on the experience afterwards. At the end of the environment, it is time to ask the attendees to share their experiences and thoughts on how they felt during the session. In this way, we can encourage the patient to learn alternative and more assertive behavioral models, which are motivated by the group itself. And lastly, prescribe homework. This step is optional and complementary to group therapy. It is a good method to encourage coping strategies and what has been worked on in the session, even giving rise to share experiences in the next session with the rest of the group as well. With homework, in addition to offering group sessions using VR, you can supplement these sessions with homework, as I was just mentioning. If you use the homework functionality in the group sessions, you can also prescribe environments to do between sessions in order to encourage use not only in session, but also at home. In this way, at no extra cost to you, since you already have homework, you can offer more possibilities, even increasing the cost by implementing VR between sessions. During the group session, you can start by discussing the experience of the prescribed environments with the group so that patients have the opportunity to share opinions and thoughts, not only during the session, but also time to reflect or evaluate the experience beyond the session. Now, how to offer VR group therapy. So we know that VR is a novel tool that is quite attractive to others. It is a current tool that benefits and complements therapy. But above all, it's interesting to offer. Therefore, try to advertise this service in different ways. So one form of advertising can be advertising in the waiting room. You can add posters or signs in your practice advertising VR group therapy. In the next slide, we'll give you some example of session packs that you can use as well. You could also use social media advertisements. This will be the most powerful method of outreach to prospective patients. It is possible that a patient who is in therapeutic process with you individually will also sign up for group therapy. So on the contrary, by advertising on social media, offering via group therapy, you can attract the attention of patients who want to start with group therapy or even start individual therapy when they know and learn about your center. And lastly, offer group therapy in individual therapy as an adjunct. This is a way to complement individualized therapy. As we mentioned, patients with whom you already do individual sessions can sign up for a different way of working with relaxation and mindfulness, among others, as well as learn about the experience and perspective of other patients who may be in a similar position or situation. As we explained at the beginning of this webinar. In addition, this will allow you to optimize the time in session if the patient works on relaxation and mindfulness, for example, in group sessions, and not only individual sessions or at home. Remember that when offering VR, you can increase your turnover. So group therapy is a good opportunity to increase your turnover. By offering a group session, the cost for the patient will be lower than an individual session, but the profitability will be higher for you when treating several patients at the same time. In other words, we can offer a group session for a lower cost than an individual session, but increase your turnover by treating several patients at the same time. So here, in addition, you can offer, as I was saying before, some session packs. It's a pack of group therapy sessions. This way you can choose a fixed price for X number of group sessions. Here are some examples. You have, for example, mindfulness pack, which includes 5 mindfulness sessions, or the wellness pack, which includes 3 sessions of mindfulness plus 2 relaxation sessions. Or you have the relaxation pack with 5 relaxation sessions, or you have also the premium pack with 3 sessions of mindfulness plus 3 relaxation sessions plus homework. Within these packs, you can include the price of the cardboard headsets or universal headsets, thus increasing the price of the complete pack. For example, increasing the total to the total price to include your own VR device as a gift. So, and keep in mind that this is also an easy way to pay off the cost of homework. As you already know, VR is a tool that has historically been present relatively recently, even less so in the field of health. So you can become unique. You can, let me show. Offering this service in your conventional therapy allows you to show more tools and have different ways of working at your disposal. So why not also offer VR group therapy? In addition to applying the VR tool in individual sessions, you will have the possibility to add it in your group therapy sessions as well. You can also differentiate yourself from other therapies. Here, you can make yourself unique. As we are saying, VR will not only be part of your practice, which is already quite new, but you will also be able to include it in group therapies, which is very attractive for patients. And then you will be offering more services. Your patients will be able to choose the type of therapy they feel most comfortable with. If you consider that it would be appropriate for your patient to work on relaxation or mindfulness, you can offer him or her one of the packs mentioned above. In this way, present a different type of therapy to the patient. Now here, I will show you just a short recording of a remote group session, because why not also include group sessions from home. So you can see the demonstration of what the process would be like. In this case, it will be a session with 3 patients online in a mindfulness environment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second session of our mindfulness course. Thank you very much for attending today's meeting. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Very good, thanks.
That's great to hear. So let's explain a little bit what today's session will consist of. As in the previous session, we'll start by sharing a bit on how it went, and above all, we'll talk about what feedback you have about the environment of the falling leaves, which you had to reproduce at home this week. So do any of you want to start?
Yeah, sure, I'll start. So, in the first session, I remember that I was able to clear my mind, be centered in the moment, and when I practiced at home, I was able to do the same thing. And I'd never practiced mindfulness before, so yeah, that came as a surprise.
That's great, Stephanie. And little by little, you will be able to focus your attention on the here and now. So, any more comments on this?
Well, I think I kind of had the same situation as Stephanie. I did meditation some years ago, and I liked the environment we did in the first session, as well as being able to practice at home.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. So as you know, we're in the second session of the course, and you will see different ways of focusing your attention, especially trying to compare and share your experiences with each other. So let's start if it's okay. I'm going to ask you to please open the Amelia's app and launch the emotional regulation fire environment on your device. So we will now mute the microphones so that the audio doesn't disturb you. And when you finish the environment, take off your glasses and we'll comment on the experience. Okay, so you can now put the glasses on. So now here each patient will play this environment, and we are just going to cut the recording so that the demo is not too long for you. And we'll resume with the session. So perfect, we've already played the environment. You can take your glasses off. Awesome. So any first impressions? How do you feel?
Well, in my case, this time's been much easier for me to focus on the present moment. I definitely felt more conscious in this session compared to our last session.
Thank you for sharing your experience, Lauren. Did the rest of you feel similarly? What differences did you find between this session and the previous one?
Yeah, I think I was able to make more sense of my thoughts a bit more easily. It's pretty easy to follow instructions, and then so I would say the same thing pretty much as what happened with Lauren.
In my case, I would say that it was easier for me to have full awareness of the moment, but I did feel more relaxed in the environment than in the first session.
Perfect. So thank you so much for your comments. It's normal that you have different experiences, but the important thing is to share them and maybe see similarities or differences that you have not taken into account until one of your colleagues share it. So during this week, I want you to work at home on the falling leaves environment from the Amelia's app, an environment that's focused on mindfulness and putting thoughts aside while we focus on how the leaves fall. So thank you so much for this session, girls. And now remember that the post-session comments should be longer and go into more depth. Although in order for this demo not to be so long, we just simulated just a few short comments from each patient. In this session, we see how in addition to group work, we also send home assignments to work on the comments in the group session, and we encourage work beyond the consultation. Hello everyone, and welcome to the second Perfect. Now, going back to the presentation. Hello, everyone, and welcome. One second. Okay, now we'll show some examples, as I was saying before, of a group session. It's just kind of like a session proposal that you can do. So you can propose a group session designed for 5 or 6 patients. Then you can reproduce environments of the mindfulness area. And remember that monitoring through the viewer is not entirely necessary. These are some of the examples of mindfulness environments available in the mindfulness section. Depending on the objective of the session, you can reproduce these environments as a whole. Remember that, as we mentioned, there are different ways to do it. You can do it in face-to-face sessions or remote sessions. You can offer individual sessions or packs of sessions. And remember that you can be creative and find the method that best suits you. Here is an example of a pack that you could offer as a proposal if we only use mindfulness environments. So you could use 3 sessions of mindfulness plus homework plus a free cardboard headset, or universal headset if it's already included in the price. Now jumping to couple therapy. Well, as you know, couple therapy is a psychological intervention aimed at helping couples in conflict or going through a crisis to resolve their differences and recover a happy coexistence. In some cases, thanks to this therapy, the members of the couple can have more data and have more contrasted information to make decisions regarding their future cohabitation. The psychologists, maintaining an equitable attitude, will try to ensure that the couple acquires a skill to communicate better, respect, and support each other in the face of the problems that have arisen and that may arise in the future. So how to apply VR in couples therapy? Here's a session proposal. You can use a mindfulness environment, such as the ones mentioned in the previous slide. Then ask the couple to talk about their interpretation of the environment and their thoughts. They may both say different things, but remember that both opinions are completely valid. This helps understand each other's perspective. Even though they are seeing the same environment, they have different perspective and different ways of interpreting the environment. And then remember that you can use it as a complement to individual therapy. As we have discussed in the previous slides, group therapy can be a complement to individual therapy. Therefore, we will be combining both types of therapy with the same patient. You can offer group therapy in your individual sessions. You can optimize time in individual sessions as well using VR. And you can present different ways of working on coping strategies, using them in group sessions and not only in consultation or at home. And here is a relaxation pack that you could offer that includes 5 relaxation sessions plus universal headset. So thank you so much for attending today. Remember that you will receive the presentation and the recording of the webinar once it's ready. And I would like to take this opportunity to remind you that once a month, we have our Amelia office hour. And this is a space reserved for you to join us whenever you want to ask us any questions, share your experience, or just chat with us for a while. It's a totally informal space that we offer for you to talk with us or with other professionals that join as well and use the tool. On the other hand, we would like to remind you that we have a Telegram group to chat with other professionals who use VR in their daily practice. This is a community where you can ask, chat, or even share any aspects that interest you about our tool. So now we'll leave a few minutes for a Q&A section. So if you have any questions, please feel free to either raise your hand or send your question through the Q&A section. So we have a question. Where can I find the marketing material that appears here on the presentation? So remember that you can find the marketing materials on the platform. If you access your account, you enter the home page, and if you scroll down, you will see that you have marketing resources. You can just click there and it will send you to a new page with some posters, banners, videos that you can download or print as well if you want to post to put them in your waiting room. Then we're also, I see a question, how can I add homework to my plan? Well, you can just contact us. Just feel free to send us an email to help@ameliavirtualcare.com, and we'll explain to you how you can add homework to your subscription. I'll wait and see if we have any more questions. We have, is there a limit to the number of devices I can add with homework? No, there's no limit. You can add as many devices as you want and enable homework in as many devices as you want as well. We have another question as well. How many virtual environments are there for patients? Currently, I see only 2. Yes, you see 2 because when your patient downloads the Amelia app for free, they only have 2 environments for free. However, if you have homework enabled, if you have bought homework from us, you will be able to give your patient a code that they will enter on their phone, and then they will have access to more environments. Let me see if I can show you better. But they will need to get in touch with you, with the therapist, to get more environments. So you will see that on the phone, you have 3 options. If you click practice now, is where they get 2 environments. But if you go back and then you click unlock content, then here is where it asks for a code. This code will be given by you, the therapist, okay? Your patient will enter the code and they will see all of the 13 environments. How do I know if I have such a code? So if you have bought homework and it's added to your subscription, what you will do is go to the platform, you will sign in your account, and you will go to the devices section. In devices section, on the top right, you can click new device. You can enter the name of your patient and click generate code. And then you can copy this code and send it to your patient. Let me go back to that screen so that I can show you and you can see it better. Okay. Okay, so here you see that I'm adding Julia's new iPhone and I click save. Okay, so this is how I save the device. Okay, but this will generate a code before saving. It will generate a code, okay, so that you can give to your patient. Okay, any more questions? Thank you for your question. So I'll wait just 1 or 2 more minutes to see if you have any more questions, and then we can wrap it up. And also, if you have any questions, if you have homework added to your subscription, feel free to send us an email and we'll check that for you and let you know for sure. Okay, well, I don't see any more questions, but if you do happen to have any questions or doubts in the future, feel free to send us an email at help@ameliavirtualcare.com and we'll be happy to help. Okay, remember that you also have our Telegram group that you can join and share with other professionals as well. So thank you so much for your attention today and for joining. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.